Another day, another obvious clue that Trump does not care about people. He just doesn't care. Because now they're talking about how truck drivers and port workers are concerned because there's less shipments coming in, right? Less shipments means less drivers needed. And look, I worked for the trucking industry for many years. I worked for a trucking newspaper that we published to long distance truck drivers across the whole nation. And I spoke with truck drivers weekly at the truck stop. I went out and I talked to truck drivers. So I feel like, no, I'm not a trucker. I've not been a trucker, but I feel like I know quite a bit about trucking because I wrote for a newspaper for truck drivers and talked to truck drivers, right? And they are the most highly regulated industry. They recently just passed a thing that all drivers in America need to be proficient in English and the English language. Well, there already were provisions in place for that. You already have to be so proficient enough to drive, right? And trucking companies have a very difficult time getting truck drivers and keeping them, the good ones, right? Because you're always going to have the ones who break the rules or do dangerous things, and cheat on their logbook, which I guess now you can't do that because they're digital. But there's a lot that goes into trucking. And then you have Trump over here, and they are asking him about this, about job losses and everything. So let's just go ahead and listen to that.
Because business has slowed down, as you mentioned,
in China.
But we're seeing as a result, the ports here in the U.S., the traffic has really slowed, and now thousands of dock workers and truck drivers are worried about their jobs.
Yeah, no, that means we lose less money. When I see that means we lose less money. Look,
we lose less money. He's looking at countries fighting against each other over products that mainly this is a China thing, right? Mainly this thing is about China. They import our stuff, we import their stuff, and we've got a lot of trade with China. So and they're the ones, and we're the ones who put the big tariffs on. So we're talking about mostly China here, right?
China was making over $1 trillion, 1.1 trillion a month.
But why are we? It's a win for him, but he doesn't care about all the people. He and Elon Musk have already cut out a bunch of jobs, right? And a recession that looks like it's on the way, that's going to cut back. A lot of people are not going to have money. And you've made veterans, you've cut back something to do with the loans for veteran homeowners. And you've also installed where all the people who were paying back their student loans and we're getting some delay in paying back because, maybe they're not making very much money, even though they got a college degree, or they're having trouble paying it back and they're working with them. Nope, not anymore. And so there's just a lot of things going against we the people right now. And he's playing this game up here between countries. And that works, one country's going to do better than the other, and we want America to do the best, right? But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about people.
My opinion, different numbers from 500 billion to a trillion or $1 trillion. I think it was 1.1 trillion. And frankly, if we didn't do business, we would have been better off. Okay, you understand that. So when you say it slowed down, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. But we're going to make it so they can. I'd like to say they can do better, actually, in terms of the bottom line. We'd like to see China opened up so we can compete in China and, give people something that they've never had, access to something. That'd be great for the world. It would be great for our businesses. And I think it would be great for friendship.
And then, so the other day he talks about, well, we get like 80% of our toys from China. And Trump's like, well, you can just get $2 or $3 instead of, I don't remember the numbers he said, but it was like 3 instead of 50 or something. I don't know, something stupid like that. Well, there are people who can't afford one, who couldn't afford one before these tariffs. And now you're going to put these huge tariffs. And the thing about it is there may not be any toys. It's not going to be a matter of buying a whole bunch of dolls or not buying a whole bunch of dolls. the people in the United States who sell these things are not going to want to pay these huge tariffs. And the people in America who buy these things are not going to want to pay these huge tariffs. Now, if it's something that you have to have, like if you're a coffee addict and you have to have your coffee that comes from other countries, you're going to pay whatever for it, right? But you're not going to pay all this money for a doll. You'll just go you'll just go to the store and get whatever doll you can afford. And that's fine. But this really talking about dolls and toys and everything, yeah, the kids will suffer, but they'll bounce back. It's true. Kids don't need a lot of what they get these days. They don't need a whole big. People are so enmeshed in this whole thing about Christmas and how I got to get my kids everything they want. And, it just sets them up for when they're adults and you don't get to get everything you want, right? But Trump doesn't care about you, the people. And the thing about it is, I don't understand is the MAGA people who will defend this man like he is God. And I don't understand that. And they don't explain it to me. They just come in here and call me names. So some of you Democrats, if you're watching, can y'all enlighten me on how this is a good thing? Because I don't think it's a good thing. Or if you're a MAGA, tell me how these tariffs are a good thing for we the people. Thanks for watching and have a great day.